But the reason why I'll never pick through a room like this again, last time I climbed up and started digging through stuff, I had 30 rats come out of everywhere. And I mean, it was like out of a horror movie. I was in the middle and they were everywhere, climbing on the walls all around me. I ended up coming out the room running. They're scattering everywhere and I fell through the drywall.
If you guys want to make more money than you've ever made in real estate and find different ways to make money in real estate, this video is for you. I'm joined by my guy, Gio Paradis, who scaled his company from zero, nothing, to 7 figures in his very first year. And before we get into the video, things like that, I'm going to talk about how I personally know Gio. So I met Gio actually, I want to say I was 2 years or so in the business or so. This is after I bought my first personal house. And at the time I was just a buyer's agent. And then I linked up with Gio. Gio was just starting his first company.
Yeah, man, I DM'd you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a friend of a friend told me about Chris and how he was a young hustler doing this thing. I was like, this is the type of guy I need to be surrounded by. I need to be surrounded by some talent and someone that's just as motivated as I was. So Chris was actually, out of everybody that I reached out to, was the first person to say yes, to coming on board and kind of working to build together and trying to build something greater than ourselves.
100%. So yeah, like I was just a buyer's agent when I first met Gio, but Gio, I really say he helped open my eyes to think bigger. So I shifted from just becoming a buyer's agent to becoming a primary listing agent, and then switching from listing agent to team lead to investor, and then, you know, company leader, so on and so on. And, you know, a lot of my success I definitely attribute to Gio and all his valuable, you know, mentorship he's given me, the insights he's given me, and definitely wouldn't be here without you. So
thanks,
appreciate you for coming on.
Hey, bro, that means a lot, bro. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, I saw that Chris was hungry. You know, don't take no credit away from yourself. You had to put in the work. And one thing that I promised Chris, that when we linked, you know, I was just starting out. I was rebuilding my life, but I had this vision. I had a good network. I had the knowledge, I had the education. I told Chris I was never going to hold you back from what you wanted to do, and whatever it is that you wanted to become, I was never going to hold you back. And hopefully that's stayed true with you. And you know, seeing you grow is probably one of the most satisfying things that I feel I've accomplished in my life is seeing your success. Because again, out of all those people that have come and gone, you're the only one who has stayed. You're the first one, and you're the one that has stayed. And you know, some of those other people I've had personal relationships with for years. Yeah. Me and you met off social media, but just seeing your growth, it's motivating, man. Anyone, I mean, you see my growth, vice versa. Yeah. And so, you know, everyone says iron sharpens iron, but it's true. And, you know, we keep pushing each other to new heights. That's, you know, probably a secret I would tell somebody is you got to surround yourself by people that are not going to be jealous of you, that can root for your success, cheer you on, and push you to go harder as well as for them as well. So, you know, I'm very thankful for our relationship and all 100%. All that has brought me.
Well, what would you say your day-to-day is like when you're running your company?
I'm a firefighter, man. Not literal fires, but yeah. I mean, look, you know, air traffic control. I'm still prospecting a little bit, not as much as I used to, because I have a great team. My acquisition team is very strong. It's not like it was in the beginning days, but I'm wearing a lot of hats right now in this particular time because my partner is out of the country. But look, my day-to-day is coming in, going over the leads, processing through the deals, making sure that we're locking up deals and moving things through the pipeline, and making sure that, you know, the revenues keep really in charge of the sales part and driving that department and driving production. My day-to-day mostly involves in operation. The people that owned it, they passed away. The older brother inherited it. The younger brother had some type of mental disorder, and he was unwilling to vacate the property. So we were like, we got to buy this sight unseen. We're going to have to go ahead and evict them. Yeah. You know, just stressful. That's why no one wanted this, because no one wanted to deal with it. Yeah. So other people's problems gives you an opportunity, right? And so we were like, all right, we're going to close on it and get them out of there. Well, like I was supposed to close on the 10th. We got a call on Sunday. He got arrested for robbery. So he ain't coming home anytime soon. Yes, sir. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
This is the worst house we've seen so far? Yeah.
Is it? This is not even top 5 for me. So, I mean, the layout is pretty good. It's got there's a master here. And this is another thing you want to do, right? When you're going through a property, I've always, for one, I have a habit. I always keep one thing from every property that I buy, but there's always money in a property. 9 times out of 10, there's something worth money. This is the other bedroom right here. This goes to the backyard. Careful, there's a dead animal in here, just to let you know. This, like when you walk properties like this, it's like going through a step in time, man. Keep stuff like this. You always look at like coins, like old coins is worth money. I mean, this doesn't look like no collectors. It just looks like old change. Yeah, I don't pick through like the floor and stuff. I don't go that deep into it, but some people do. You gotta think this shit's gonna be at least 3 dumpsters. I mean, it's probably $2,000 worth a demo. God, Lee, this entire closet is full of tissues. Yeah, I mean, you'll never, like this room, you'll never know what you find because these are the only rooms where you're really gonna end up getting stuff. But the reason why I'll never pick through a room like this again, last time I climbed up and started digging through stuff, I had 30 rats come out of everywhere. And I mean, it was like out of a horror movie. I was in the middle and they were everywhere, climbing on the walls all around me. I end up coming out the room running. They're scattering everywhere and I fell through the drywall. Never open the fridge when you buy houses like this, hoarder houses. Oh, just old food. Now, this is the worst part of the house we're going into smell-wise. Now, you got some china right here. This is real china. This does have some value to it. Yeah, this is where the rat infestation is, as you can see. Yeah, I really don't see much here, man. So we can go walk out back. And honestly, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm very satisfied and happy with the condition of the property. Always do that when you open something that looks like it hasn't been opened in a while, because you don't know what is going to pop out at you. Got a lawnmower in here. Ain't nothing of real value in here that I see. This thing's got to go. As you can tell, this thing's all chewed up and rotted out. You see this? Completely gone. Probably would just rip it out. I'm not even gonna put another fence up. So I mean, this backyard, it seems like a lot of work. You can see this is where the addition was. It's a real interesting house because it has 3 full bathrooms. At this square footage, you really don't see that. There's one good gem about this property, and that's the HVAC. And it might be the only good thing about this property. You got a newer HVAC system, so hey, you can't complain, right? At least one thing is we can save in the property, and that's the HVAC. Everything else is gonna be completely gutted. The roof is gonna be saved too. We got the roof, the HVAC, and these windows on the addition have been replaced, so we'll probably be able to save those. Overall, this is a pretty easy project. It's hard for a lot of people when they see a house like this. It's like, oh man, this house is completely destroyed. But a lot of it is just junk. Cosmetically, there's not that much wrong with this house. The drywall is really, in comparison to how the house has not been taken care of, the house is in pretty good shape. I'm very surprised. I got very lucky. So we're gonna get it demoed and gutted. And next week, my partner, she'll be back and she'll do the layout. We'll finalize the layout, get this thing rocking and rolling. Oh yeah, it's an easy house, man. It should be about a 40K reno. Oh my God, let's go. Dude. What do you mean? This thing's clean, baby. You see this is all eaten up though?
Termites.
It's your good old friend termite damage.
You might need 2 40-yarders for this.
I thought it was gonna be 3. The HVAC's good. It's about the only good thing in here.
You can take this out. I can open this out. All this.
Can you open the kitchen? Yeah, and I'm talking everything.
Well, this goes through to the kitchen.
This too, you can open this wall up too.
Yes. See that wall coming right there?
We're gonna put an island over there and make it badass.
Right.
This one right here, you see this ceiling? We're gonna have to cut this whole thing out. This room,
Emptied out.
same with this room.
Remove the crown mold that's put on backward. Put on wrong.
I might steal this closet right here and make this a grand ensuite. We gotta do something with this because this
You
needs.
can't have that door coming in here unless you plan on renting this room out.
No, I'm gonna close it off.
Right. So
Frame it in.
Right.
But what I was gonna say is we need to make both of these ensuite bathrooms suck. We're gonna take this whole thing and make it a one big ass bathroom. Cause ain't nothing but some framing. You knock that wall down, that gives you a whole lot more room to play with. You can start junk removal ASAP on it and then start demo on it ASAP. Is this tree too big for you to handle? How much you gonna charge me for it?
$1,000.
Okay, done.
Maybe 1,500.
Nope, 1,000. You got it. 1,000.
Gio, the people want to know the secret. All right.
secret.
So like I said earlier, you scaled your company from 0 to 7 figures. How? How did that happen?
Phew. I mean, I would just say I'm very fortunate to know the right people. Scaling a business obviously takes a lot of hard work and dedication, but it takes a lot of good people. I was very blessed to meet my partner, Giovonni. I had that relationship with him through his next door neighbor, one of his best friends, Ryan Finch, who was my mentor in real estate. And Ryan obviously vouched for my work ethic and my dedication to my craft. And Ranji was already a serial entrepreneur. So I had a big vision, and Ranji was able to take that vision, systemize it, and we poured a little gasoline on it, and we were able to scale very quickly. Yeah. He knew what hires we had to make before we even needed to make. So we kind of already were ahead, and things I didn't understand because I was a neophyte in business as an entrepreneur. There's some things I didn't understand. I just knew how to Sales fuels a business,
Yeah.
right? I'm an expert in sales. I figured out the marketing along with my partner, and then he set up the systems and processes that allowed me to free my time and focus on growing the business. I could work on the business, not only in the business. So it takes good people to scale a business. It takes talent, and you gotta surround yourself by people that are smarter than you.
Yeah.
A lot of people struggle because they wanna be the top dog. They want everyone to be below them. They don't want anyone to challenge them, and they don't want anyone to hold them accountable. They just want complete oversight without restraint. And so you gotta, again, surround yourself with people that are further than you in order to scale a business, because there's people that have been through those things. Either you're gonna partner up with that access or you're gonna pay for access.
Yep.
Mentorship, coaching, leadership, right? I was fortunate enough to lead with tremendous value that I was able to partner with someone who was already immensely successful and then leverage that network and leverage my relationships, his relationships, to build what is the Caymus Group today.
Yeah.
So anyone watching this, you gotta leverage your relationships. You can't be afraid to be the smallest guy in the room. If you're the brokest person in the room, you're probably in the right room. That means you can learn from everyone at that table.
Yeah.
But when you're the top dog at that, it's a scarcity mindset, it's a limiting mindset, and you can't really learn. You gotta surround yourself and challenge yourself with people who are further along with you. To me, that's the key. Because they've been through what you're trying to go through. They've tried to implement these things. They've gone through the accounting, the P&L problems, the marketing problems, the sales problems, all these different intricacies of scaling a business. They're giving you the shortcut. And so again, you're either gonna partner with the knowledge or you're gonna pay for the knowledge. Pick one. But if you wanna try to figure it out on your own, good luck, right?
Yeah.
We all heard that old adage, you can go far alone, but you go further together, right?
That percent.
And so you gotta have the right team around you. You gotta build systems and processes. You gotta be able to delegate. You can have growth, you can have control, right? You can't have both. So what are you gonna do? And I was able to delegate a lot of things in the beginning, things that I weren't proficient at. We all have proficiencies and deficiencies, right? And so in the beginning, when you're starting off on that entrepreneurial journey, you gotta be able to do the T-chart. You gotta put your proficiencies on one side, your deficiencies on another, and see how do I delegate my deficiencies and how do I get better at my proficiencies. And I was able to self-identify that. And again, I was able to scale very, very quickly.
That's great.
But hey, when you grow fast, right, you got growing pains.
Yeah,
I went through my fair share of growing pains.
Okay, tell us about those. What would you say, because I know there's probably a good amount, a long list of growing pains. What would you say, like, top 3 ones that probably, other entrepreneurs that are watching this are gonna go into?
Number one growing pain was income, controlling my income, right? As my income increased, there was a lot of pressure to spend more money, right? Even pressure from your friends and family, because people think you're rich overnight, right? And don't understand the amount of overhead it costs when scaling a company. And so staying disciplined was a growing pain. Hey, wait, let's not take that trip. Let's not buy those new clothes. Let's not, buy that new car. Staying disciplined was a growing pain. The number 2 growing pain, I think, was hiring people, right? I did not understand the need to pay someone such a high salary. My first expensive and most important hire that I probably made under the direction of my partner was an executive assistant. And he told me, I thought we were just gonna pay her, $17 an hour. When he told me how much we would be paying her, I said, man, we cannot afford that. He said, you can't afford not to. And so that was a growing pain, just being able to succumb to that mindset that, hey, you need to free up your time. So, because again, as an entrepreneur, you're early, you want control. This is your baby, right?
Yep.
The third growing pain would be just being in a leadership position is how you look at yourself. And if anyone's seen the movie Scarface, right? I use that analogy because it's motivating to me, is when he was a dishwasher. He looked out in the window and then he looked up into the sky. You know what I mean? Like, he knew he was gonna become before he came in. However, you still have to keep the mindset that you're a dishwasher. Other people will look at you once you start having any moderate of success, will look at you like you're Scarface. You're Tony Montana, you're in this mansion with this gold chair and everything. And that's, people look at you and they treat you different because that's who you are. And you have to realize that even though I may view myself as a dishwasher, hey, you're operating $1 million company. you have to behave a certain way. I need to talk to people differently. And I have to carry and conduct myself in a professional manner that is befitting of someone that owns a 7-figure company. So that was a challenge. I had a lot of personality deficiencies and things I'm still working on to this day. And being able to compartmentalize everything you're going through personally, because you don't only have, accountability to yourself, but you have to keep yourself motivated, but you have people under you that you're worried about their problems because they're coming to you with their personal issues, and you're accountable to help them grow professionally as well. So that was probably the 3 biggest struggles in growing.
Just talk about like how you were able to scale up so fast your first year. So I know the answer to this question, but the audience doesn't. So Caymus Group, you guys are mostly doing like wholesales, flips, and things to that effect, right? At least the first year. Mainly profit and such.
Yep.
Now, my question is, before you did that, did you have any real estate experience?
Yeah, so I was a real estate agent once upon a time.
Okay.
Back when I was about 24 years old, I got licensed. I read Ryan Finch's book, Explode, and I realized by reading that book, I was like, I can skip being a buyer's agent, which is very time consuming. And I went straight in the beginning of my career just trying to list properties. And so I was primary listing agent, and I started working with an investor, a house flipper. And that's when I started learning my first little bit about the house flipping game. So I was very blessed, again, to be under amazing leadership there. Troy Brimmer, David Gregg were some of the other people that trained beginning days. So I had amazing leadership. So shout out to all of them, and had Ryan there for the mindset and the discipline, coaching as well, just being a mentor for me. So I was blessed to be around great leadership when I got in the business. I learned the game from some amazing people. I had that as a foundation. Yeah. So that foundation, I feel, is what separated me once I got into the wholesaling and investing space, because I had that experience and background as an agent. Is what set me apart.
Okay.
I really knew my numbers. I knew how inside and out of a transaction worked. Again, there's a lot I didn't know, but I knew enough foundationally to build a professional company. It's one of those things you gotta keep turning it, and then it opens. Wow, looking good. It was just, it literally was like a blast from the past. When we first acquired this, it was a very wealthy family that owned this. They owned a lot of property down at the oceanfront hotels and stuff. It was just like original. It was clean, but like 1980s Scarface vibe. It's a complete gut job, obviously from a cosmetic standpoint, and we got to bring it up and raise the value. I ended up getting this about $195,000 back from appraised value. Yeah, so that was good. The only thing we really kept is they did a brand new HVAC system. We gutted and we changed the layout of the kitchen. As you can see, it's framed up and ready to go. Believe it or not, I practice what I preach. I actually got this lead from a nursing home. I was going into nursing homes, and I had a friend of mine that worked at a nursing home, and I went there and I was like, kind of told her what I offer. I left my business cards, this is what I do. And she said, hey, there's a lady that has been admitted, and she's probably not going back to her residence just because of her condition. She needs someone, to be with her all the time. Hey, the family wants to talk to you. I sat and talked to the lady, her daughter-in-law, who was her power of attorney. At the time we weren't able to work out a deal, I tried to buy it owner financed, because the condo fee here is $1,500. So, that's steep. That's a whole mortgage in itself. Yeah. And with today's rates, this thing was $6,000, $7,000 a month, a mortgage. So I was just like, how am I gonna do that? And she was a little higher on price at the time too, about $100,000 higher. And so she listed it, no traction. She had an appraisal in hand. She listed it under appraised value, still no traction. The reason, I really don't know, because other things sold in this building. I really think it was the condition. Most people that have the money at this price point, I kept calling her and following up. I said, look, when does your listing expire? She said, hey, it expires tomorrow at midnight. So I said, I'll call you first thing in the morning. When I called her that next morning, I met with her in the office and we did a deal. I got it under contract. I didn't know how I was gonna fund it or what I was gonna do. Originally I was like, I want this to be my primary residence, obviously. And then I looked at my partner, he's like, do you really wanna bleed this much a month? And I'm like, no. And I end up buying my house that I live in now. I got a super sweetheart deal on that, owner financed. And so I was like, okay, how do we do this thing? He's like, well, we put together a syndication. Yeah. So we brought in other people, not that many other people, 2 other people, and basically we're gonna keep it for a year and see how it goes. We'll be in it for about $800,000 when it's all said and done. Total, it'll probably be worth about 1.3. once it's finished. It's there's comps. The next building over, which is 5 stories lower, they're selling for 1.6, 1.7. Same square footage, same everything. So we're just gonna keep it as a rental. You can't short-term, 6-month minimum. So we're not even gonna really rent it. We're just gonna keep it as like, hey bro, you get to use it, I get to use it. So we're gonna keep it as a secondary residence. So, I mean, when you have 4 people, we all make high income, it's probably about $8,000 a month is the carry on this. Plus, we're gonna have to all invest money to furnish it. With $8,000 a month, I mean, everyone throws in their share. You get the quiet enjoyment and amusement. It's a tax write-off. This thing's only gonna appreciate. We get debt pay down. And after a year, you see if, we'll do a year test run. If they wanna stay in the deal, we'll keep it as is. If not, might just buy them out. But no matter what, we're gonna make money. Definitely get to use it for a summer. Here is a very simple story. We just tore everything out. All the fixtures, all the flooring, we ripped everything out. He's got this wraparound balcony. We have this kitchen right here. We reframed this in, got a new layout right here. We have a built-in breakfast nook going in here. So that's gonna be really cool. You can sit down here, have your morning coffee, have lunch, and look out the window. Obviously, we're gonna get these windows cleaned up, fixed. And then this will be kind of your dining room and have another cabinetry, little bar over here as well. Your fridge, everything's going over there, sink, stove. There's a bath down here. What was crazy is when the contractors first started rehabbing this house, I didn't know that this building, we're the youngest owners. The youngest people are 55 years old here. They have an alarm switch here. So when they were rehabbing this bathroom, this right here, they pulled it and it called the police, fire, and the medical department. Came here, yes. Now, they used to have these clear railings. I'm mad we took them out because I love it. So this room was like really hokey. Like it ended, I don't know if you can tell, it ended right here. It ended right here and it was weirdly framed. And like this was the whole closet. You see like this is the closet? It was super small where you can only fit like a small bed. So we kind of opened this up and reframed it. Now you have a nice walk-in closet. It's more functional. This is, where your water heater and your handler is. These bedrooms aren't the biggest, but got a full bathroom here. Kind of simple story, traditional full bathroom. This is a nice little bedroom here. This is actually my favorite, I like this. I like how secluded this balcony is. Right here, come out, beautiful. This is what sells the property in a way. What's really gonna sell this property is this. This is where all the magic happens. Boom, you wake up to this, how you're not inspired, how you're not motivated. It's $1 million view, man. This is what you pay for. You pay for the view. Now we kept this, this is kind of an antiquated design, these built-ins. Obviously this cabinet was for a very old school TV, VCR setup. However, if we tore it out due to how it's constructed up here in the crown molding, it would have left a very weird space. So we're just gonna keep this, is gonna be extra storage. You have his and her walk-in closets. And again, I really think this is also gonna be a big selling feature, is you get to take a nice bath and look at the water while you take a bath. So that's pretty fire. This is the only other thing we kept is this shower. This is imported marble, so we kept it. Saves us, this shower probably cost you $5,000.
You took a vacation, let's call it, for a few years, right?
Absolutely.
And before your vacation, you were an agent, and then you came back. You didn't get licensed again as an agent.
I was selling franchises.
Okay. My question would be, why didn't you want to step back in the agent field?
Because I understood more and more that if you're an agent, your time is limited, right? That you can only scale so much. You can make a great income. There's people out there that kill it.
Yeah.
But in my particular area, in order to build the life that I want, and I call it a life by design, being an agent was gonna be a challenge for me to build the life that I want. I wanted a more national picture. It's very hard to build a business as an agent here in Hampton Roads and just say, I'm gonna go to Miami, become a mega agent.
For sure.
Your market penetration, it's like starting all over again.
Yeah.
When you go the investing route, you're able, because you have capital, you're able to hop right in and make a dent or make an impact and do deals. You're not dependent on building your brand or influence in that particular area. So that's kind of what kind of made me not become an agent again, because again, I only needed a license if I wanted to sell other people's homes.
Yeah.
And that was no longer the vision, for me. I loved real estate. I knew I wanted to be in it, but that's kind of what made me decide and what ultimately led me back into getting into the, what I would say partially retail side. Is so many people were complaining as the interest rates were changing in 2022 about how hard it was getting. And I'm the type that says, hey, if someone's complaining that it's getting hard, that's the path of least resistance. That's the direction I need to run in. Go against the grain.
So now on the, wholesale side, more on the off market, even buying rental properties, things like that.
Yes, sir.
There's a lot of people who are on this side that say they don't want to work with agents. How do you feel like about working with agents? And do you feel like it's beneficial for people who are on the off market side to work with real estate agents?
That's an excellent question. My opinion really on the state of the industry, if I did like a state of the union, is since I got in, it has changed rapidly. With the evolution of cloud brokerages has changed the game. A lot of agents bounce around the 100% commission model, the rev share model. Some of the focus has been shifted from being a real estate professional to turning these agents into recruiters to build a downline, to build stock, instead of really becoming experts at their craft, right? I feel that education has been missing from real estate. It used to be so prevalent and present in an everyday onboarding of an agent, the education part. It's oversaturated. You look at the statistics of how many agents in our small market didn't even sell more than one home last year. It is outstanding. So I think that on the off market side, there's a big subset of the market that has a disdain for agents because a lot of these agents are out here very undereducated. They just passed a test and had no training, so they've gotten their name. A lot of people in the situations that we uncover off market, they're not really in a position to go to retail. They have dire circumstances or the condition of the property really doesn't lend it. Now, should you work with an agent on the off market side? I would say absolutely, only if they're knowledgeable. Because they have to understand the situation that they're going through. You can't
I'm saying, why would you work with an agent?
I mean, agents bring value. I work with agents all the time. They bring me deals that are off market.
Yeah.
The reason why they deal with me is I pay them more than they would have earned on an on-market transaction. I'm able to give them more value, sharing the revenue that I'm gonna make after flipping the property.
Because I feel like a lot of agents don't understand that. They get so focused on their commission. They're like, oh, I wanted 3%. Well, you're missing out on plenty of opportunities. Like he said, he's willing to share with you like revenue on the deal and where you can make more versus your commission. Because a lot of times it may not even be 3%. I think the average statistic is less than 3% now. So you're providing them with different opportunities.
Yeah, and I would just say, look, from my personal experience, there's a big subset of my business that comes from agent failure. Agents have listed a property, they failed, and the seller reaches out to me, and my company has to provide them a solution because the agent is not educated enough to handle their situation. This could go from divorce properties, inherited properties, pre-foreclosure, tax liens, all different types of situations where agents aren't educated enough to understand their unique situation and what solution is best gonna help the seller.
Yeah.
Because there's usually two things you gotta hit for a seller. One being price. That's the most important thing. Second being time. How much time do they need to close in? And the other logistical aspects of it that are very hard to achieve with the on-market MLS transaction. So I think education separates the people on the off-market side than agents. Even a rookie wholesaler, in my opinion, on average has more education than a 3 to 5 year agent, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right? In retrospect, when you say that, these people are watching YouTube videos, but they're educating themselves more than the people in real estate are. Most people in real estate, they go to school and that's it. They don't learn after that.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you guys spend so much time, so much discipline, so much effort learning real estate, and the information doesn't really help you make money. Everyone knows that's for compliance, for doing the right thing ethically and whatnot, real estate school. Why wouldn't you invest that same type of attention and energy into something that's gonna produce you income? And that's what blows my mind about it.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. And I've seen that, unfortunately, so much. I feel like one of the biggest struggles I've seen with agents is they have like certain beliefs that they believe and they're not willing to variate from those. So for example, I had a deal that I was working on where the seller, they were about to go into foreclosure. The property was listed and I was trying to pitch subject to the agent, of course, because it was on market, but the agent, they weren't trying to hear it at all. They weren't even going to present the offer to the seller, and they ended up proceeding to do the foreclosure process on it. So I'm like, dang, like you're actually doing a huge disservice to your client at that point, because I'm a ready and willing buyer and we can't even negotiate because you won't negotiate with me in good faith because of your pre-coded beliefs. And that comes, from the education. unfortunately. So
Yeah.
that's why we do have videos like this and, you know, a bunch of content and such out to be able to promote education among not just agents, but anybody interested in real estate. So I do want to, that previous question I asked, I want to reverse uno. So we talked about how you guys feel about agents, but from the agent side, what I've heard from a lot of agents is they have a lot of disdain towards wholesalers specifically, but also flippers or people who go direct to seller. They say things like, you're taking advantage of sellers. How do you feel about like people saying things like that?
I mean, it's ignorance, because the people that are operating at the highest level in this industry are investors. These people that say that are mostly the people that have not done it. So they try to throw shade or cast negative beliefs in a thought process. They aren't succeeding them. You'll never hear chatter from someone who's doing it. You're never gonna hear a top producing agent talk bad about an investor or wholesaler.
Yeah.
They don't know this side of the business. And everyone thinks all we do is make a bunch of money, man, but it takes a toll on you. I can't tell you how many divorce situations, how many death situations, how many people losing their house because of drugs, and they need a solution in 7 days or they're gonna lose everything. They can't help them. Half of them don't even know the process to even begin to try to help them. A majority, I'm not speaking for all, there's some amazing agents in our area. There's a lot of people out there crushing it and doing great things, but I'm talking as a majority. Because there's only, I would say, 1% to 2% of the entire realtor population that is extremely educated and can help people no matter what the situation. So, I mean, I think that people's disdain comes from being outperformed. People can't compete, they throw shade. You're never gonna hear shade being thrown from people that are high performers. So I look, again, you know, whether you're doing a lot, they're gonna talk about you. Whether you're doing too little, they're gonna talk about you. You gotta be comfortable with that. If you wanna be successful, you have to be okay with what comes with it, which is the negative gossip, comments, remarks. As long as you have integrity in what you do and you have pride in what you do, you can have that assurance and confidence that you're doing the right thing. I definitely see agents all the time that I buy deals off the MLS all the time. And I'm like, you just laid down and told me how much your seller would take. And I was about to offer you $10,000 more than what you said. And so they just made their seller $10,000 less by opening their mouth just because I told them they can write up the other offer for me and represent me as a customer. So many agents that will do anything to get a commission. And so I don't think that all agents are created equally. Some care, again, the people that say that are gonna be the first people to get me the house, right? It's just my opinion. But look, you can't worry about that, what people say.
Yeah.
They're always gonna talk, good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I would really say it just boils down to how are you helping them? And I think so many agents just have it drilled in their brain, like the only way you can help. A lot of times, you know, if you're dealing with somebody in a situation, listing, there's so many variables with that. Now, does that work in many circumstances? For sure. But it all depends on what the client really wants and what the client needs at the end of the day. So if you can provide that for the client, at the end of the day, who cares about how much money you're making?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If the client is happy, cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've seen things in this industry, right, where my agent was representing me and they only paid us 2.5% SBC. And then they basically kept 3.5%.
Yep. Happens all the time.
And you know, which is to me unethical. You're making your other counterpart in the industry take less commission and you're taking more. At least discount the seller some money. If they give that 0.5% back to your seller. You know what I mean? But look, agents are inherently out for themselves.
Yeah.
And so look, they're gonna have an opinion that's great, you know, but everybody has what it is, an opinion. It's a free country, freedom of speech. They're allowed to voice their opinion. Flipping's nothing new. Wholesaling's nothing new. Either one of those things. I'm in those businesses, and as long as I am, I'm gonna perform at a high level.
100%.
No matter how my peers feel about it.
Yeah.
As long as I'm doing what's right.
Gio, what would you say your favorite exit strategy is when you get an investment property?
Phew. A good wholesale.
Okay. Why?
I mean, it's a quick turn of property. I mean, that's my favorite one as far as exit.
Yeah.
Because keeping a property isn't really an exit strategy, right? Yeah. So, I mean, I prefer to keep it, right? I go broke buying cash flow because that's the only way to escape the rat race, right? It's the only way to get out of that hamster wheel of grind is to build passive income. You got to make money while you sleep. It's one of the best pieces of advice I got from a very wealthy individual. The way to get wealthy is to make money while you sleep.
Yeah.
My favorite thing to do is wholesale. I mean, look, flipping, you make more money. But wholesale, you're selling the paper. You don't gotta swing the hammer, and you get to make good profits. Take those profits, reinvest it.
Well, Gio, definitely appreciate you
Yes,
for
sir.
coming on.
My brother.
This has been valuable.
Thank you, man.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
So everybody who's watching, make sure to like this video. Also share it with a friend. You can get some valuable information. Bye.